All right, tonight, guys, probably one of the coolest Hamilton. You guys know I already really dig the Khaki King, and there's a couple other, khaki models mostly that I really like with the Hamiltons. So, but a little bit of backstory. Bruce and I were talking recently, and we both kind of noticed we were getting a lot more watches in that were above the $500 price mark, and it's more of my hold up is the $500 price tag. So him and I both started looking at the Hamiltons again because there's so many value options when it comes to the Hamilton lineup. And in doing so, I stumbled across this guy, which I don't know why. This thing, I know there's probably a ton of people that are like, yeah, duh, I've been looking at that thing for a while, but for some reason, this thing totally flew under the radar for me. This is the Hamilton Khaki Pilot Pioneer. And it's like a really good size with having an internal countdown rotating bezel, and it has the H10 movement. So it has the, it's basically the 80-hour power reserve movement, a very legible dial, kind of a field watch looking dial to it, and a really nice bracelet. Although those center links are polished and they're going to be smudge magnets and scratch magnets probably, but whatever. We'll go over the bracelet here in a minute too. Here's the hang tag with it. It's a H76455-133. So go ahead and look that up, and we'll talk price here in a minute too. Let's just talk about watch dimensions here real quick. So they say it's 41 millimeter, and I don't know what they're measuring, but it is 43 millimeter across from here to here. So nice clean measurement spot. I get 43 millimeter. Now, I do get like 40 millimeter if you measure just the bezel from like here to here, but I really don't know where they're getting 41 millimeter. Which this doesn't wear like a 43. This definitely wears more like a 41. Let's be straight up with that, first of all. It's 47.5 millimeter lug to lug, 22 millimeter lug width. Bracelet tapers down to 20 millimeter, and it is 12.7 thick with that domed sapphire crystal. And if you look at it in certain light, I don't know if I can get it, I'm pretty sure there's a light coating of AR probably on the underside of it. Because if in natural light or in even artificial light, for me, to the naked eye, I get like a little bit of a blue, because you can see how the bezel or the crystal sits a little proud of the bezel. So it ends up almost putting this blue ring around the outside. You almost get this illusion that there's like a little bit of blue underneath the crystal, and there's not, but it's kind of a cool thing that us watch nerds see. So you have two signed crowns. They're offset. Obviously, you can see there's one at 4 and one at 2. Now, the one at 4 is your date setting and your time keeping. It is a hack and a wind. It is not a screw down crown. It winds right now. So on the back side of this, it does say that it is 10 bar, which is basically 100 meters. So no crazy water resistance with this, but this is going to be easily a really good everyday wear type watch. Most of us are going to be totally fine with that water resistance. So if you look though, as much as I like how the day date is done on the Khaki King, this dial is actually pretty cool looking, I think. So you have, obviously your, 1 through 12. You have a nice chamfered date window there, easily displayed. And then you have your seconds track going around there. And then just outside of that, you have a 24-hour track. And then on the very outside, underneath the crystal, you have a countdown timer. So right now, I was messing around with it. The countdown timer crown is a screw down one, but it's not a screw down one for water resistance. Well, I mean, it might have something to do with water resistance. It's more about setting it so it doesn't get moved on you. So you unscrew it, it pops out, and now you can rotate this guy around. So you can use it however you want. So you can use it, if you put it there. Well, most people use the analogy, like say you go out to a restaurant and they're like, hey, it's going to be a 30-minute wait. So you crank this bad boy around, and you put the 30 on the minute hand. You push the crown in, screw it down, and now it's doing a countdown. So when it gets down to 0, you can tell your host, hey, it's been 30 minutes. I want my table. So, I mean, that's how most people use the analogy of using it. That's how most of us live our lives and stuff like that. But, I mean, you could count down time anything. I do a bunch of stuff even at work that I could use a countdown timer for that's actually legitimate. But regardless, we'll move on. So let's take a look at the Caseback. Now, the Caseback, you can see, is not a screw-down Caseback. It is 5 screws holding down the Caseback. So I'm sure that has something to do with the lower water resistance. And you can see the H10 behind the display. I don't know if it's a sapphire crystal for the display crystal. It might be. But you can see it says sapphire crystal, Swiss made, water resistance 10 bar, all that good stuff. And then you can see the 5 screws. Solid end links. And then, of course, one of my favorite things about bracelets, that first center link folds. This bracelet is actually really cool. So it lays flat, so it's going to automatically, with that 47.5 millimeter lug to lug, is going to be super comfortable. But let me give you a wrist shot before I go into a little bit with the bracelet and the clasp and everything. You can see on my 7.25 inch wrist, this thing is perfection. For one, you don't have the crown digging in, so yeah, it's 43 millimeter across, but you don't have a crown there protruding out, such as, I don't want to pick on any watch, but when you have a 43 millimeter watch and you have the crown at 3 o'clock for my wrist, a 7.25 wrist, it might bother me a bit. This thing being that the crowns are offset and you just have a smooth section of the side of the watch there, it's super comfortable. So there's no issue there. The clasp is totally milled out. Even this part here is all milled metal. You only have 2 micro adjusts and you have the double pusher single fold over like that. So very simple operation, but everything's smooth. There's no sharp edges anywhere. So it's, I think it's really nice. It'll be nice to wear. But I'm going to talk, I like sizing bracelets, and I know a lot of you guys don't, so I like getting thrown a curveball once in a while. And I think I've seen this style of pin and collar before, but I don't remember on what watch. But they did it this way, I think partly because the links are all individual. So you can do the stack thing on this. So you can like fold, I don't know if that makes sense. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? So you can fold the watch or the bracelet back over on itself. So you can do this little stack thing with it because they're all individual links. So that also makes it super comfortable. But sizing it with these little pins, so this here, let me zoom in. Excuse my fingers, but I want to show you guys this because there's going to be guys that are going to want to size this, and this is basically going to show you how to size this, because on the back of the bracelet links, there is no arrow. It doesn't matter which way you push the pin out. You can push it out from either direction. It does not matter. So, and the collar is in that center link. So you put that collar, or when you're sizing it, you know, when you're pushing the pin out, you got to push it out. And then what I did is I grabbed a pair of pliers and protected it with either leather or some sort of heavy-duty cloth and basically finished pulling the pin out. That worked for me, no problem. I didn't damage the pin or anything. Or you can have a longer poker that goes all the way through and pushes the pin out, but you risk getting the collar stuck on your push pin. So I prefer the plier thing pulling it out, but just protect the jaws of the pliers so you don't damage your pin. So this little guy here goes, the collar goes right in that center link, okay? And then you take your other link, which is, you know, captured, and, well, you got to make sure that doesn't slide out. So then you have to get that guy in there. So once you, oh, I'm out of frame, sorry. So once you wiggle that guy in there, see that collar slides around in there, so you got to, everything's kind of tight fitting. So once you get that lined up, now you have a nice solid pin here, okay? So then you're going to put that in, again, either direction, and then once it gets to a certain point, it's going to stop. So then you want to just take, you know, a brass hammer or a nylon tipped hammer, and you're going to pound that through. And it's going to go through the first section fairly easy. It's going to get halfway through. It's going to come all the way down. And then once you get down to that bottom part, you got to remember you have a little bit of deflection there. So you're going to have to do a little bit of tweak in there. Don't just hammer that sucker in there. You got to remember you want that hole to line up all the way through there. So if you have some really good glasses, you might be able to see in there. But otherwise, you just kind of tweak it back and forth a little bit, and you'll get that thing to go all the way in. So that's a quick tutorial on how to size a bracelet. So enough about that. But back to the watch. I'm actually a huge fan of this thing. The finishing on it is really cool. The feel on wrist is really cool. And I bought it off eBay from a trusted seller on eBay. I paid $420. That was the lowest priced one I had seen. And I don't think there's any more on there for $420. So the prices are all over the place from this point forward. Maybe they'll pop back up. But I see them on there for like $430, $500, all the way up to $800 or even higher. Joma Shop had them listed for $399, but they're out of stock. Maybe they'll get them back in, maybe they won't. If you go over to Amazon, they're not on Amazon Prime, but there is a seller on there for $550. Even if you go over to Hamilton directly, they have it listed down as $1,045, but they are out of stock. You have to do a email notification to let you know when they come back in stock. So I don't know. Hopefully I didn't show you a watch that's going to be super difficult to get. I know there are some on eBay right now for under $500. So I think for under $500, this is a pretty slick watch. It is different than the normal type watches that a lot of us have been doing. I like the countdown timer. That's very useful. I had it on that Zen 104. Granted, that was super easy to access, but this one locks in and you're not going to bump it around. You're always going to have it dead on. So I think it's different enough, and I think it's cool enough, and it's under $500. I think it's a killer option. So let me know what you guys think. I'm definitely going to hold on to this one for a little bit. I'm going to send it over to Bruce, obviously, because I think he definitely needs to see this. I think he will equally be happy with it. There is a smaller link there. So like sizing might be a little tricky for some guys, but you do have that like half link on both sides. So I basically pulled 2 links for my 7 1/4. I pulled 2 links out of this side, and I pulled 1 link out of this side, and then I adjusted this in one. So it'll be really close for most people with 7 1/4. You can tweak it around. You can usually make it work. So if there's any questions you guys have, definitely drop it down in the comments. Let me know what you think, and I will send this guy around a little bit, maybe to a couple of reviewers. Definitely it's getting sent over to Bruce, but that's about it for tonight. I'm going to give you a lume shot. Prepare to be disappointed. I actually haven't even seen the lume yet on it, so but I mean, come on guys, it's the Hamilton. They have not gotten our message. We keep telling them, Hamilton, do cool lume. So that looks better than it is. You guys are seeing, I mean, it's not horrible, but it's not amazing. This is an SKX over here. So obviously you have a little bit more lume on the hour and minute hand. The 12 and 6 is nice. I like that instead of just doing all the little dots around there. So that is actually really cool. But I suspect this isn't going to be an all-night lasting lume or anything like that. So that's for most of us. That's our biggest holdup with Hamilton, water resistance and lume. If they were to do those, I think they would be basically the answer. You know what I mean? If somebody said, what kind of automatic watch I should get, like you would instantly just say Hamilton. Like if their lume and their water resistance were both greater, it would be, everybody would own a Hamilton. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you very soon. I know I went crazy long on this, but I'm super excited about this watch. It's very good feeling to find watches under $500 that are like awesome, and I feel like this one is. So, see you soon, guys. Thanks.